May I invite the Prof to give us an overview of what we are going to do today. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Okoe. Good morning, everyone. Let me acknowledge the presence of the hardworking deans, Professor Asamoah, Professor Fidelis Kwanzaa, the Dean of Management Studies, Director of CIEC, Professor Pokumensa, Director of Office of Doctoral Studies, Professor Jiwanu, Dr. Ayano, Professor Bwedi, yourself, all the HODs as well as the individuals who made this program a success. On behalf of the Vice-Chancellor, who wished to have been part of us this morning, but unfortunately, he just called some few minutes ago and asked me to step in for him. He's going to meet the PPA officials to represent UPSA. So once again, on behalf of the Vice-Chancellor, you are welcome to this program. Indeed, this program is very, very important to the Vice-Chancellor. That is why he sanctioned this program. And thus, we could also resonate ourselves with the observation of the Vice-Chancellor in recent time, because the contemporary issues in teaching and learning has several impacts on our continuous existence as lecturers. Indeed, in some cortices, it is believed that our jobs are threatened because in our part of the world, we are not digitally exposed. That is why it is moving slowly. However, just the recent ended conference of the Accreditation Council for Business Programs and Schools in the US, some of us were fortunate to be present. I quite remember my good sisters. I'm always fortunate to be in the midst of the wonderful ladies in UPSA, Professor Pokumensa and Professor Fidelis Kwanzaa. Yes. I've been told that their classes are always full because the students love them and they are the face of UPSA. So I'm also proud when I happen to attend conferences with them. So just by the way, we were shocked to the bone marrow when universities in the US were threatened. They are threatened by AI, the emergence of AI, to the extent that some of the prominent universities are closing down their city campuses. And it means a lot because it will result in job losses. Some faculty officers have to go home. And they were alarming. In fact, they were so alarmed and worried. In fact, the conference was just about themselves. It tells you the devastation AI is creating in the corridor of teaching and learning. So it is not surprising that AI is a serious threat to our continuous existence as lecturers. However, the other leg of it is that it also serves as opportunities, which simply means it's not just about the threats. There are several opportunities when it comes to the emergence of artificial intelligence, especially the tools. As a lecturer of research, one of the exercises I always conduct is to ask my students to do reviews of several articles. Today, I cannot do the same again. You are not even sure whether the student did it or not because they will give you the best of reviews. When I was exposed to one of the AI's applications, All you have to do is to upload an article and give it a command. It will summarize everything for you. It will give you the theories adopted. It will give you the conclusion. It will give you virtually everything. So as a lecturer, do I have to continue asking my students to go and do a review of articles in the same way? The answer is big no. Because AI has addressed that problem. And just as we know, our contemporary students want to have everything so easy because we now live in the world of ease and the world of entitlement. So if that is a strategy I have adopted to observe if my students are learning or not, then AI has disrupted that strategy. Today, AI, if you want a topic, you don't need to learn the tenets of good topics or the attribute of good topics. All you have to do is to give AI some variables and it will generate very good topics, which if you are to juxtapose with the attribute of a good topic, sometimes it comes out better than what you would have done. In all this, it is called artificial intelligence. But myself and you know that we have the original intelligence. I don't know whether I'm getting the trend. In all the perfections that one could benefit from AI, the original intelligence is here because whatever is being generated is a machine. So we are always a step ahead of artificial intelligence. But what happens is that they are using our intelligence to solve emerging problems. Therefore, as members of faculties, it's incumbent on us to see how best we can solve issues and also maintain our status as the best university in this country, in our regions, and the world as a whole. So, how do we address these problems as well as capitalizing on the opportunities available to members of faculty? This question can only be answered after today's forum. I know most of you have the answers, but fortunately, UPSA is endowed with a lot of professionals. So one of our members had conducted a very extensive research in AI. I thought the AI tools were about some 10 or 15. Not knowing, I learned now it's almost more than 100. On daily basis, they're generating more. He's going to share with us his research outputs. And the main essence of this one-day forum is to look at the threats and opportunities associated with artificial intelligence, and then try and influence policy. Because indeed, like I mentioned earlier, in our contemporary world, the current generation are not interested in formalities. They are always interested in getting things done in their own way, the era of entitlement. So if we don't come out with any policy, it is a matter of time that, one, we may lose our livelihoods. We may lose our livelihoods. Because today, one can be educated with AI. He needs no bricks and mortar. AI will examine. AI will do everything. And the only reason why, I tell my colleague accountants, now, the only reason why, as accountants, we are relevant in this country and the world as a whole is because of law. The law that established us. Apart from appending our signature to the financial statement prepared. And also, no, that's the only thing. Because today, the machines will prepare the financial statement for you. So they say we don't have account clerks. The clerical work has been taken over by machines. And the unfortunate aspect of it is that we use our intelligence to write notes to the financial statement. Today, AI is writing the notes. So in actual fact, our relevance is only generated from the law. So the day we'll be pushed out of our livelihood is when there's a law to allow AI to sign. And once AI signs, but please don't be threatened. Don't be threatened at all. Once again, let me remind you that the word is artificial intelligence, but we have the original intelligence. That is why we are here this morning. I won't take much of your time. In the next few hours, we are going to digest this topic and see how, as a university, we will influence policy. Probably, we might be the first to have this forum and extend it to our other stakeholders. If we sit for GTech to formulate policies for us, we may be sitting down and now play the reactive role. But I think we should rather be proactive by coming out with good suggestions, good policies to influence national policy as a university. That is why the university have fully funded this forum. And we are expecting about 370 participants. And the room is yet to be filled with 200 participants. But for those who are here, just as my boss will always say, my boss, the Vice-Chancellor, is a man of God. So he will always tell you that, may the good Lord bless you and guide you for your contribution. In the same vein, let me also step in the shoes of my Vice-Chancellor to say that for those who are here, may the good Lord bless you, give you the wisdom to digest this policy very well, and then at the end of the day, the history will be written that indeed we met as UPSA, came out with some measures to address the emerging threats and then influence national policy. So once again, I welcome you to this forum and expect that in the next few hours, we will be able to achieve our objectives. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prof. I was getting scared about the exponential, the AI tools that are coming. Are we going to have the next LGBT plus? I don't know. Okay, we are to start the program. The first speaker. But before he comes, let's observe a few rules that we are going to follow after his speech. We are going to have 3 sections. The first section will be taken over by the expert discussions on this. And then the second one, section will be a breakout where we have group activities to have one-on-one discussions on this. And then we'll come back after this. We are going to show you places that you'll be after the initial presentation is done. So we'll give you information regarding this. With a round of applause, shall we receive our own Dr. Ayano.
Deans, colleagues, senior colleagues gathered here. I think the introduction given by Prof. VC sets the pace for our discussion this morning. Because of time constraints, I will skip some of the slides, make them available. Prof. VC said there are hundreds of artificial intelligence. There are actually more than 1,000 platforms. Yeah. But not all are generative AI. which is going to be our focus of the discussion. Yeah, generative AI, probably in the range of 100, that's correct, but other AI tools I'll give you a website where probably you can find all AI tools in the course of the discussion. I was reading my lecture notes on electronic records. So I just took the text and then threw it into the AI, and then it brings me this nice Asian guy. I could have used my own photo or anybody else here, and then it just read the text. We can share another example. Okay, let me skip this example, share other ones instead. Yeah. So if you were teaching any course, please can you turn off the lights so that we can have some good visuals here. If you were teaching any course in, say, language, linguistics, communication, etc., and you gave, maybe you want to test students' ability to write. So you ask your students to write a brief history about UPSA, so that I can use that as a basis to assess the strength of the person's language. So I just put write a brief history of UPSA Accra, and that's it. This is what the AI says. The University of Professional Studies is a private university located in Ghana, etc. It goes all the way, then at the end it tells me to put my name, and you can submit this for assessment. Then I asked the AI, I did most of this, I just did this morning. I asked the AI to write an appreciation for the VC. So I put his name there for his leadership and contribution towards advancement of the university. The AI just goes wherever, search for information, and writes something nice about the VC. So he says, on behalf of the entire university community, I'd like to express my heartfelt gratitude for your outstanding leadership, remarkable contribution, etc. So you go down, 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 you just put your name. It's actually just put your name and submit. So if you have given an assignment to students to write something for the purpose of testing, this is what you should expect. The student does not need to do anything. And this one, you won't find any grammatic error. Punctuation, everything will be on point. But that wouldn't have been the student's own creation. I lost some 2 friends, and I wanted to write a tribute. So I provided just a brief information, write a tribute to our dear brother and Salifu and wife, Rosemary, for a sudden painful death and leaving behind 2 young boys to be orphans. This actually it happened over the weekend. And then the AI, as if they live in the same house, is able to tell a very nice story about Mrs. So if you have asked your students, if you have given your students this kind of assignment, they will definitely find a solution, print, submit to you. I'm sure you'll be thinking, what about similarity? The system itself has run similarity to ensure that it's the lowest. Yes. The system will run the similarity to make sure that it won't find these tributes as close as possible. Okay. So this is, then I'm sure you want me to show you an example in those in calculation, accounting, etc. Okay, let me show you something from Google. Google now has an AI called BARD. So, assuming you've given students raw data in Excel, okay, raw data, and you want the students to do summation, summarize, do some analysis, just count the number of objects. So, if you see that I have ChatGPT, my AI, a number of AI, and assuming it's a questionnaire, and you ask the students to do some kind of analysis by doing that summation, any form of aggregation. Okay. So I put this in BARD. Says based on the data provided below, count and sum each item into a table and graph in Excel. Then it provides the question. The AI is able to identify even a question, and then this is what it gives you. So it gives you ChatGPT tells you it's 7. So if you have asked your students to do this in Excel, the AI can just throw the data into the chatbot, and the chatbot will produce the result. For time's sake, I can show thousands of examples. So let me go to the main presentation. So this is coming out of a research work in the last probably 2-3 months, looking at generative AI and what the implications for our business, teaching, learning, and research. Okay, so something has happened since 2020. An AI, a generative AI by OpenAI, and I'm sure you've heard about it, known as ChatGPT. Okay, just change how AI works in terms of content generation. Okay, so generative AI, basically, you give it an instruction or you tell a story to it, and it's able to create its own content. That's what basically generative AI. There are a lot of AI. My present iron at home has AI. It has no regulator. You put it on the material, it's able to tell this is wool, this is cotton, and you can leave the iron on the dress for the whole day, it will not burn anything. It's able to tell that it's not moving. It's cheap. Sorry. No. It's available. It's available. You can find it in some of them. So that's not the kind of AI we are talking about. We are not talking about human assisting AI. We are not talking about AI for adaptive learning. We are talking about generative AI because it has serious implications on teaching and learning. Okay. So this advancement and big data analytics, having massive volumes of data available on the internet. So the AI uses the big data to generate whatever contents. Okay. So the study, evaluated a number of tools through literature review, deep internet searches, and AI forums just to find what is on the market. I'm sure many of you, if you're on Facebook, those of you like to go through where there's a lot of noise, TikTok, yeah, you find some AI ad. You just tap and then so through those forums, we're able to identify a number of generative tools. Okay. So I have a list of, the findings include a list of all the generative tools which has been evaluated. Okay. Then classification of their functions and features is very important. Many times people say, I want to use this AI, which one should I use? I want to give it a review. So we've done classifications based on their functions and features. Okay. Then the design model, very important because it has implications on the design model. Then the pricing model, because it also has implications, whether we can afford, we can use it, etc. Then of course, we look at the benefits and challenges. This is the list. I think over here, I have probably 60 or so. Please, all these, I have shared this on Deans and Directors platform. You can forward it to your members to have a list, so that if they are looking at specific AI, for whatever purpose, they can just try it. But it is only for teaching and learning purposes. It cannot be reproduced or for any other thing, because it's an ongoing research and it has copyrights on it. So for the purpose of information, etc., you can use it. So we have, then the classification, identify 15 distinct features, functions and features of these AI. So we've evaluated 100 so far. We've done a report on 70. So these findings is based on the evaluation of 70. Because the report is ready for each generative AI. The other 30 is still being worked on. So we have article generators. We can generate a whole article, like the one I showed you, the one that wrote appreciations, you can generate a whole article. Just give it a topic and it generates the article. Idea generators, you want to do captioning, those in marketing, you want to do branding, sometimes you want something that has to, assuming you have the word Sika, you put words together, it's able to give you an idea. How do you call that? What market, you call something pitching? Yes, the idea generators can do pitching for you. Literature review, one of our areas of interest. Literature review, usually, and I'm sure we'll have experience, at least at the master's or PhD level. We spend almost all the time doing literature review, isn't it? Yes. Literature review is a generative AI has made it as simple as possible. You can upload your own materials and it will do the review for you. You can provide the thematic areas your or the trend of whatever you want to, just put it into the chatbot and it will generate the review for you with the references. With the references. Yes. And it even gives you links to where the material is. So if you click it to open the material, you see it. For time constraint, I could demonstrate many of them. Then we have content analysis. So content analysis and literature review works together. I have a 10-page document. I cannot read all because I'm stepping into a meeting in the next 5 minutes. I throw it into any of these AI that has the capability to do content analysis. And then it just gives me paragraph. This is talking about this. These are the areas. These are. And when you put in your own keywords, it's able to do the content analysis based on the keywords that you throw in. Chatbot, of course, is to have regular communication. It's like you are chatting with a human. I don't like this. This table is wrong. Add this to it. Change to this, etc. Rewriters, which is what our students like. So a student finds a material, he wants it to be originated by himself. He throws in the material and is able to rewrite. He's able to rewrite the content. And if that AI has a plagiarism checker, it will go and scan the content itself has generated and then can come and rewrite, can rewrite to ensure that there's no similarity found anywhere. Then grammar and spell checkers. I'm sure many of you would have heard Grammy. Grammy, yes. The new version comes with an AI where you can actually write your own content. It can change the whole text for you. If you don't like it, you can put, there's one that has what you call voice. So if you want to use aggressive voice, if you want to sound very serious, if you want to sound friendly, you can indicate, I want this to be a friendly, formal, informal, academic, scholarly. Once you use those, it's able to change the content. So our students really like stuff like this because it helps them too. Then language translation, which has been a problem. Language translation, which has been a problem. So if I have a French material, I need no worry. I will just get the soft text, put it into the system, and it will translate. It will translate into a new language or into a preferred language. And there are so many languages that it can do. Then speech to text and text to speech, they do the same thing. Or audio to text. Audio to text basically, like the one I showed you. You put in your content and then it puts a voice on it. Or you give it a voice instruction. Okay. Then the contents are created. So video and audio transcription, yes. You have a YouTube video. I've seen sometimes we have that issue. You have a YouTube video and want it to be transcribed into text. When you play the video, it will just be capturing the words. And what I realize is it doesn't matter your accent or tonation. It's able to find the words. And then with the punctuation, I think about it, how did they get this right? It's able to find it's supposed to be a comma and a full stop by just listening to the video. Image generators. So for our friends in other disciplines like fine arts, design, etc. Once they want an image, I should have shown you this. I just said create an image of cats running on the streets in Accra, New Town. It actually gave me the road. It gave me cats running on the street, and the background is Accra, New Town. So if you're in a fine arts class and you ask your student to do such illustration, and you can say you want it in canvas, those of you who have arts background, or have visual arts background, you want it in canvas, you want it in pastel, you want it in poster, you want it in oil, it will give you those illustrations. Then slide presentation. The one that amazes me, I just said that I want a presentation on any topic. It creates the content and actually converts the content into slides. So you don't do anything. I'm going to talk about risk in whatever area. It finds the text and puts the text into slides for you. Yeah, so I just put in this caption: unlock the vibrant energy of Accra after dark with Accra by night. just put in this and then is able to create a whole text about Accra by now, businesses in the night. I didn't add anything, it's just a topic. It created the slides throughout the process. Then I think I've mentioned plagiarism checker. And then, yes, thematic analysis and classification of words. So again, we use this in literature review. Assume you want to aggregate your discussion under specific themes, it's able to find out. This is almost able to do qualitative analysis. If you collected interviews, etc., you want to do qualitative analysis, it can use the thematic areas. It actually does thematic analysis if you are using. Then code generators, yes. My friends in IT, whatever programming assignment you give to the student, there is a tool that can generate the code. There is a tool that can, in fact, there are tools that can generate. So you ask a student to write an SQL statement to connect a database, etc. The student will just take it, throw it in, and it will generate. And those codes, there's nothing like debugging because everything is right. Okay. So again, the materials I have given you includes the list of the AIs with the classification. So if you want to find something for literature review, you see the list. I've categorized them based on the functions. So you can see the ones for rewriting, chatbots, analysis, etc. Okay. Please, if anyone has a question, for time's sake, you can. The updated one is what I've sent to the faculties. Okay, this one is a bit earlier than the one I updated yesterday. There is this website you should all visit. This website is called There is an AI for That. There is an AI for that. Anything you want to do, but I wish you a portion. Anything you want to do, and you think there is an AI, just go to this website and search for it. And you can search by, say, which one is open source, which one is free, which one has license. This website tells you there are about 1,000 AIs, but not all are generative. The generative probably will not go beyond 150. Again, not everything here I have seen is an AI. These days, if you are creating a website and you want to, so we have .com, .site, .org. If you want to use .ai, it's more expensive because people are using the phrase AI for marketing purposes. So it's not everything you see that is AI or generative AI, which is our concern this morning. The basic understanding of a generative AI is to be able to have what we call natural language processing. Natural language processing is the normal words or expressions or sentences we use every day. Okay. Unlike search engines, where we have to learn things like Boolean logic, search strategies to be able to sift the right information from the chaff, with AI, you don't need to learn any skill. Once you understand how the AI functions, you'll be able to create any content out of it. So many of the AIs here they may call generative are not really generative because they don't process natural language. Sorry. So let's look at some statistics from the evaluation. Okay. So we rank the functionalities and features of this evaluated AI. Okay. The most prominent and not surprising or leading feature or generative AIs that are often used is the one that generates articles and generates text, and you can understand for obvious reasons. Everybody wants to generate something. Yes. Sometimes we are just stuck, we can't write. Then chatbots, one that you can have. I'll show you statistics from our students' survey where we wanted to see what they were using AIs for. You see why this is here. Chatbots, content analysis, idea generator, rewriters, grammar and spell check, then literature review. I think literature review is the 5th or 6th, and there are obvious reasons. As you go down, you see they keep dropping. And probably because our environment, we are tilted towards creating text, etc., than maybe audiovisual materials, or we don't trust that the AI are able to do those things. The ones that can create multimedia, okay, so we are looking at AI. Before that, let me go to this slide. We look at the design models of the AI. The design model simply means that many of these generative AI you see are based on ChatGPT's model. Because ChatGPT is open source. So any developer can take the source code, modify it, recreate, and some are even selling more than how much OpenAI sells the ChatGPT. Whilst OpenAI sells ChatGPT for $20 for a month or so, the others are selling sometimes 50, 45, much higher, because they've added value. They've added value to that. So we look at the design models, and you see that as much as 73% of all generative AI uses the ChatGPT model. They are just designed on Chat. What it means is that it can never be better than ChatGPT in terms of the content, but there are added functionalities to make it more marketable and more user friendly. Okay. The ChatGPT itself was modeled on the LLM, okay, large language model, and they made it such that it is easier for other coders or developers to use it. So if you look at the ones that has multimedia functionalities, you will see that image generators, text-to-speech, video, etc. This is many of them are still depending on ChatGPT. A few ones uses customized models. In fact, many refuse to declare, not many, some refuse to declare whether they are sitting on ChatGPT or not. Okay. So the model per 5, the top rank functionalities and features. So you see that all of them, somewhere around 78, 79, 63, 65, 78, are all dependent on ChatGPT. So it tells you that ChatGPT just transforms how generative AIs will function. Let's come to pricing. So you see that almost near 90% of these tools are commercial with limited free licenses, which is a serious challenge for us. There are times you want to buy, but you may have issues with, if you don't have PayPal account, you cannot buy. And PayPal is very erratic. It doesn't even function in Ghana because it's been blacklisted here. Then only 4%, a little above 4% are open source. Thankfully, it includes ChatGPT. Then we have about another close to 4%, which is open source and also commercial. Okay. The rest are heavily commercial. So your students will just use the free trials and they are unable to use it again, unless they go and create more email addresses, because each trial will require a particular email address. Let me go straight to the challenges. 4 main challenges: accessibility and affordability, quality of materials, accuracy, validity, reliability, academic integrity, and ethics. And I'll show you some examples. Digital literacy issues. Okay. So let's look at accessibility and affordability. Like I said, more than 90% of the tools are commercial with limited free editions or free versions for either a limited period or limited functionality. However, you are likely to spend an average of $240 USD per annum if you want to use full versions. Is that expensive or is relative? For those who still insist they want to buy, they may have issues with, because many of the payments is card and PayPal or these international payment gateways. Some may not be available in Ghana. In Ghana, a lot of people use Momo. Even Google, which allow payments through Momo, sometime people have closed that functionality. So now you can no longer buy with Momo. Quality of materials. Yeah, I think we should pay attention to this. So we need to understand that GAIs are not necessarily models on educational objectives. The people who develop it don't care about educational objectives. Educational objectives is basically what we do. When we are designing courses, what do we do? Look at the course description, we look at the objectives, look at the learning outcomes. We go by topic, per week, we give assignments. They are not modeled on the basis of educational objectives. So there's nothing like level of knowledge. And it's not modeled after taxonomies. So Bloom doesn't work here. It doesn't know you are asking for remembering or creation or analysis or evaluation. They don't care about those things. They just model it to create content. It doesn't care whether the content is at what level you are administering, and that can be problematic. Okay. So this is a real challenge. There's a possibility of bias. Not possibility, there's actually bias, and I'll explain. On the AI training data and interpretation of natural language processing. Okay. So for example, UPSA, we have our internal library e-resources. Okay. If the e-resources are not open, what it means is that the AI, training the AI, because you train the AI like you train humans, you teach it to do the analysis. All the functions I mentioned, you actually write programs to teach it. There's an algorithm to teach the AI how to do what. Okay. And they teach it using data, which we call training data. The training data will be excluding what we have in our library. Probably the most authoritative text or PhD in accounting research work, the most authoritative is sitting in our library. And it's not on what we call the open internet. Open internet means you can access full text. What it means is that if you use the AI to generate the text, it's excluding the most authoritative text in accounting, which probably came from a PhD in accounting student. So that's a real problem. There is bias with the training data. So it limits the quality of the data. Then interpretation. Then there's what we call contextualized information. It will exclude contextualized information. In fact, there were some errors in some of the text I pulled. The first one I asked to write an appreciation for VC. The first one did not include the name of the VC. So he said, "Dear Professor Khalifa," is that our VC's name? You didn't see that. The first one, actually, then second, I had to put the name of the VC there so that it doesn't get it wrong. Yeah. So there's no context. There's no context with, and it is biased towards those who have opened their resources. Okay. The literature review for academic work is only, I've mentioned, it's only limited to open internet and open source materials. And I gave an example with our library, which will have closed content, so it is not open on this. So this possibly excludes peer-reviewed scholarly materials and restricted database or e-resource platforms. Where would we find the most authoritative materials? I'm sure we know them. Springer, Emerald, Scopus, we have all those things. Many of them is closed. You need to access if you have an account to rate. And then the only portion that is open is what? The abstracts. I don't think you can do any meaningful literature review on the basis of abstracts. So you may need some findings, you may need some methodology, you may need the review itself, etc. You may need data to do meaningful literature review. So this is a real challenge for depending on this for absolute academic. You are likely to exclude the most authoritative text because that is not open to the open internet. Inaccuracies were found in certain literature sources, yes. There are cases where it cites the material, you open the material, then it's not actually the reference that is created. So you see a name, and then you open the material, then realize that it's not actually Shen, but it's somebody else. And that can be very worrying. There is no clear mechanism to validate the accuracy and the reliability of the sources. Yes. How do you know that this is acceptable or this is not acceptable? You cannot tell. Okay. I've mentioned this already. There is a study by Bedu, Anu, and Osu and Sam, quite recent, where they review student submissions using, in fact, in some universities, the students are asked to declare, to what extent did you use AI? So you state, my introduction, part of it is from AI, etc. This study found that the students who heavily depended on generative AI were not the best, were not those scoring the high grades. They were getting minimum grades. That is if the assessor is taking time to validate. Actually, the Excel sheet I showed you, if you count manually, ChatGPT is not 7, it's 9. Let me give you this quote. This according to Lim, another current study. It is possible for an AI-generated content to pass for credible scholarly work, especially at a glance. So you see, when you saw the table, you were okay with that. But if you take a sample and you count, if you do due diligence, you realize that it is not. GAI-generated content at a glance may appear decent. That's the word he used. However, rigorous scrutiny may reveal weaknesses and significant rework to improve the quality of generated results. So that's the problem our students are going to give us. If you say, you are free to use AI, you will never be free to mark because you have to read all the details. Otherwise, at a glance, it appears it's fine. But when you do more scrutiny, you realize that it's not. So that's what today. Then digital literacy, yes, to some extent, you need to have some skills. You need a smartphone, email account, sometimes credit card, how to shop online, how to download, how to create PDF text. You need these skills. You need these skills. So it might appear as if it's everyday skills, but it might not necessarily be so. So you need these basic digital skills to be able to use it effectively. Okay. So conclusion. It is estimated that AI for education in general, that is including generative and non-generative AI, is expected to rise from 214.9, this is actually billion. The accountant, please help me. Can we have 214 million? Yes, it's actually 2.214 million to, like from now, in 2022, to more than 5.5 billion by 2032. That's in 10 years' time. And these are a number of unique subscriptions. So it's estimated that this will grow by probably 400% in terms of usage in 10 years. Okay. So the projection is based on current student subscription. I wonder if this data factored us. Student subscription, teachers, educational institutions, administrators, and related users for teaching, learning, research. This is based on market research .biz. Okay, they do these projections. Okay. The problem is, currently we don't have any policy guidelines or materials. Some universities have, some don't, as to how the guidelines or policies towards adoption of AI for teaching, learning, and research is a real problem. And this forum, at the end, is supposed to come out with indicators or inputs for policy guidelines or framework for adoption of AI at UPSA. And that's actually my recommendation. So thank you for the first part of the presentation. If you have any questions, before we do the second presentation. Okay. The second presentation is actually student perspective, student survey. We need to know what our students are doing with AI, and that's a very short presentation. So let's spend maybe the next 10 or 15 minutes or less to go through. We want to know the student's perspective of. We look at, of course, the age distribution, and it reflects our student records. we have close to about 80% of our students in the 18 to 24 age bracket. Okay, so it reflected that in the survey as well. UPSA, we are gender balanced. This was not calibrated. Almost 50-50 of the respondents. Okay. All departments participated. All program areas participated. Accounting, banking, business admin, communication, IT, law. Surprisingly, looking at the number of law students, I think they are the minority in terms of students population. Their response rates were very high. The Nabochi insists I must mention this. So those in the law faculty were told in Nabochi that his students were very responsive to the. Before this is what we did. We engaged about between 30 to 50 students at random to have a general discussion on AI with them. Some were willing, some were not. Some say that you people are going to put some system like you did with similarity check. So it's an attempt to introduce a certain, that's why you're asking this question. I made them understand that it's good we know what they are using so that we can advise, we can plan. So after a number of conversations, very casual conversations, they started coming out with, and that informed us as to what specific questions we should use. We gave it to Prof. Director of Research, to actually validate the questionnaire so that we can make generalizations out of that. So students from various departments or program areas participated. Then all levels, including PhD. PhD almost 50% of the entire, close to about 40% of the entire PhD population responded. Our difficulty were the master students. They didn't want to. They thought that we were spying on tools that they are using for. So they were not really forthcoming with responses, but fairly, all the levels were represented in the survey. So we use a trick, as if we were looking for information on social media, but we are actually looking for AI. So we wanted to know what kind of social media tools were. And this also had implications for AI. Look at Snapchat. Snapchat is the second highest frequently used social media. It wasn't like that before. Before, you may have WhatsApp. The student tells me that even WhatsApp, over time, is dropping subscription. They are preferring something else. And it seems Snapchat is the thing these days. Before, you find WhatsApp, Facebook. If you look at the same data previously, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, then Snapchat. But now Snapchat is second. Why? Snapchat introduced an AI called My AI. They introduced an AI called My AI. And if I have a way, I'll tell the students not to use it. Not to use it. It doesn't give them any useful information. Yeah. This is one of the AIs that if you're having policies, we should blacklist that. You can't use it for anything. It likes to tell stories, like who is the latest Nigerian movie star. Those are the kind of information that you get. And then if you ask it scholarly related questions, it just gives you one sentence and that's it. But the students use it a lot. You see it. Okay. Internet accessibility. So, of course, once our students are using smartphones, laptops, internet, and devices that connect to the internet, we realize that they will be seeing AI, and it's reflected in their responses to whether they have knowledge of AI. Close to about 90% said they know about AI. Some said maybe because they didn't want to commit themselves. Then it also reflects, once they know, have they used it? Also close to 90% says they have used AI tools. Let's see what they use it for. Let's see what, or before that, let's see what they're actually using. So I told you about My AI, which is in Snapchat. If you have Snapchat, you just look for My AI. somewhere at the top. I told you about my AI. You see that my AI is the second highest. Why? Because they are using Snapchat. That's how come Snapchat went ahead of Instagram, Facebook, etc. Just below WhatsApp. They use my chat, of course, ChatGPT, which broke through the scene, my AI, Copy AI, Cobot, Rysonic, and others. What do they use AI, generative AI for? Many said they use it to ask general questions or for general knowledge. If you interact with them, you will see that what they are calling general knowledge is not general knowledge. It has to do with things in the classroom. But if they are using it for all the courses, they describe that as general knowledge because they think we are spying. But a few of them, a fairly good number of them were honest. They obtained quick answers to questions during interactions with friends, mates, group discussions, etc. Then those who use it to assist them for take-home exams, some were honest. At least 50% were honest. We use it for take-home exams. About 2% didn't want to disclose, so they said other reasons. Okay. But this tells us that our students are using all kinds of AI. This is a reflection that our students are using all kinds of AI. Whether they are satisfied with AI, many of them said they were neutral. In fact, those we interviewed expressed real concerns. Pricing was one of it. Access to internet, payment for it, things like quality of information they get. Some say I'll stop using it because anytime I use it, I don't get anything meaningful. What do you use? My AI is Snapchat. That obviously could not give you anything. Okay. Will our students pay to use AI? This is very interesting. Would they pay to use AI? Many of them say, well, about 35% say maybe they will pay to use it. 12% say no, even if it's affordable, because they think we are spying. Then, those who said yes, 4% say yes, even if it's slightly expensive, they will still use it. Those are the people who are using the one that really creates content, and they have mastered it. If you drill the data, you see some of them are level 300, 400, and they have mastered the use of it. So say even some already have accounts, some have money to pay for it, and they are using it all the time. They have it, they use it in your classroom. When you answer, these days, take note of people who answer quick questions in class. Many of them are getting the answers from AI. They didn't want us to talk about this anyway. Then at 33%, 34, close to 34% say yes, if it's affordable, we will buy it. And again, if you drill the data, you see there are those who have been using the other ones that create real content. A number of them had ChatGPT, Quillbot, and so on, because those ones have free versions. Okay. Search engine, whether our students will continue to use search engines. Many of them said yes, they will use search engines, and they also use AI. What is happening now is Google has created its own generative AI. Bing, which is for Microsoft, has created its own generative AI. So now when you search in Bing or Google, Google you have to go to Bing to search for. But Microsoft has integrated the Bing AI into the Bing search engine. So you don't need to switch platforms. So when you search for, if you can try it, those of you using Microsoft Office or Edge, just go to Bing and search for something. It gives you the old school way of listing content, and it also gives you the AI generated content as well. Then it will ask you, do you want to have a chat? Once you say yes, it takes you to the full version of the AI for you to have a chat. And it does everything that the other platforms are doing. In the future, we should expect that our students will continue to use both search engines and AI. But it is also predicted, there's a possibility that we'll be phasing out the old school method of using search engines to be completely replaced by chatbot, which is AI. So you don't get list of sources, you also get content from the AI. So once they are going to be there, it means that they will continue to use the AI. So this is from the student perspective in terms of the use of AI. The summary is that whether we like it or not, our students are already there and they are using it. One of the things I think I missed to mention is that we should expect that examination malpractice is likely to go high. Examination malpractice is likely to go high. Why? The students are developing addiction. A few of them are developing addiction. So anytime you ask something, they have to use the AI on their phone. So what is happening is, when they are separated from the phone in examination hall, they feel very lonely. They feel so lonely. So they are finding ways and means, and these are testimonies from students. They are using all kinds of means to sneak in phones into the examination rooms. I've mentioned this to the Director of Academic Affairs that we need to do some training for the invigilators. They are not using the normal smartphones that you can visibly notice a smartphone. They are using smartphones that look like calculators. And when they slide, the real smartphone screen is there. I hope none of you guys here are students. When you slide, they can now get whatever information they are looking at, because some few of them are gradually developing addiction. And they are looking for all kinds of tools, Bluetooth, materials that a Bluetooth can be lying as far as the library. And when you ask the AI a question using an earpiece, which can almost look like a earring, the AI will read the responses to your earring. So the person is sitting in the examination room, the bag is in the library, and the bag is providing, the phone is providing the answers to the tools. Yeah. These are high-tech. A few of them are experimenting with this. In fact, some students admitted that they have been successful by bringing those in. There's a student who told me, said, those who bring foreign material, you don't catch all of them. You catch, but you don't catch all of them. That's a statement from a student. That we know our police who bring it. And if we don't find a solution, so we thought that it is only online exams, etc., which was at risk. But even in-person proctored examination is also at risk because of possible addiction to AI material. So I'll thank you very much